Hello, Saichi.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay.
I've just played Somewhere Down the Road, and I think our next track is going to be the song featuring Andy Fraser, Melting Away. Could you describe Melting Away? I know that's getting a little bit of airplay at the moment.
Melting Away is a song that I recorded with Andy Fraser, bassist with the band Free in the early 70s. He was a writer for these songs like All Right Now, My Brother Jake, Fire and Water. I met Andy for the first time about a couple of years ago, I think. I shared the same gentleman who represented Andy for PR in the UK, and he actually also represented me. So I met him through that person, and Andy heard my music. He was kind enough to say he liked it and he wanted to produce it. I asked him to play the bass, and he said he would. We met up for the first time and the last time actually in London when he came over, and we sat there, across the table, and he actually had his iPad with him. He showed me his latest stuff, and I said, "Look, I've got my iPod here, and I've got a song that I was thinking of you playing." But I said to him, "Look, I'm sure you didn't want to play on it because it sounds so much like your old band. It was in a style of Free." And I was sort of expecting him to say no because he was trying to break away from that freestyle, blues rock since he left the band, really. But he sort of had to listen to my iPod. It was a long track, 6 minutes. He sat all the way through it, and at the end of it, he said, he would. So that was great.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And then I said to him, I pushed the boat right out and said to him, "Look, did you notice there was a section for bass solo at the end?" And he said, "Yeah, I did. It'll be a challenge." That's what he said. So, and he said he'll play the bass, but, he'll put a new spin to it, and then a new spin on it. And then he actually took the multi-track away back to California, and when he got back, he sent back to me what he did, which was more than putting the bass on it. He's actually added some synth parts, and he added some, screaming of his, and he sent me the whole product. So that's how it happened. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I'm just listening to the Saiichi Suguyama band's Smokehouse sessions on vinyl that you kindly gave me at our gig.
Yes.
And I'm surprised by the sound of it. I think it sounds fantastic. Was that intentional in the fact that you wanted it to sort of have a vinyl sound to it? Like, I know that vinyl is much more dynamic than the CD, or it can be. The drums sound extremely punchy, and I really enjoy listening to it. But was vinyl an intentional choice, or was it just sort of format that you fancied having your stuff on?
Well, thank you, Tim, first of all, for your kind words. In fact, the album came out as vinyl only to start off with. That's what I wanted to do. I'm a great vinyl fan. And one of those silly people that in the 80s, when the CD came out, I just couldn't get over the fact that it had no surface noise. I thought it was brilliant. So I sold my record collection. So they've gone, and I had, quite a number of LPs, obviously. And then, it was about, I think, 10 years ago, when my son and his friends at school started getting fascinated with the vinyl, and because it was something completely alien to them by the time. So I had an old vinyl player stashed away, and I just brought it out for this record to be played. It was actually under the Innovisions, which was
Innovisions.
So it is Innovisions. Yeah, that was my favorite record. But so I
It's
said,
one of mine
this
too.
is how. Sorry.
It's one of mine too.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful record, and so we just put that on the turntable. I said, show this. So this is how it works to him and his friend. And then I thought, hang on a minute, this actually sounds good. And then I realized, because I was suffering from a bit of how can I put it? I wasn't feeling the music as much as I feel when I was a teenager. The music was and I thought that was because I was getting old and my ears are dying, etc., etc. But then when I heard the vinyl, I said, oh, this is a sound. This is what I used to listen to. So I pulled out the little that was left of my vinyl collection, and because what struck me was the without being too technical, it's the presence of the treble. When I heard Stevie Wonder record, it was the hi-hats and cymbals, and the sort of the tone of Stevie's voice, and then so I pulled out some records and acoustic guitars, because my first love was Mrs. Nash, and that acoustic guitar sound that on CDs didn't sound particularly brilliant. And I thought, well, so this was all that was. I was young. I must have felt it. This was special. But I put the LP on, so it all came back to me. I said, yeah, this is a sound. So it was like rediscovering the music all over again. So I started collecting, like a lot of people do, trying to rebuild my old record collection.
Rebuild the collection, yeah.
Yeah, it cost a lot of money, unfortunately. A lot of time trying to track down and then find good copy, etc. I started off trying to track down mint copies, because I was so used to not having surface noise on CDs. But then that's just an impossible task. So I started just started thinking like I used to do when I was young. It doesn't matter if it's got a bit of surface noise, but it's the feeling that I was after.
Well, I've looked into this subject quite a bit, being interested in music and stuff, and the way that the music is mastered is different on CD than it is for vinyl. They leave a lot of compression off of the final mix for vinyl, so it is more punchier and dynamic, and the track has got a lot more. The speakers move more, basically, and they don't have to make it as loud as they make it with CD. A lot of CD mastering is taking away the customer's choice where they want to put the volume knob, whereas on vinyl it's dynamic. So if you want to turn it up louder, you will do. So yeah, I like the sound of vinyl just because it's much more dynamic than CDs. But what's in your vinyl collection then? What is your newly rebuilt vinyl collection? What records have you worn out so far?
Well, I mean, I like all sorts of music, so it goes from sort of classical vinyl to some of the modern stuff that's being issued today, as well as what I had in the 70s, just to give you a kind of a feel for the sort of stuff I'd listened to. I mean, I was listening to the latest album by David Crosby, which sounds beautiful on the vinyl, and then I was listening to this morning Joe Walsh, the second album he put out as a solo artist, with the one with the Rocky Mountain. I was listening to that.
Oh yeah.
And what else did I put on? Some classical and jazz stuff. So it's a mixture.
A mixed bag. Well, I can tell that from your music. there's a lot of influences going on, which is nice to hear. I like hearing music where I can hear blues, jazz, rock, indie, good songwriting, and I think your music has got a lot of good influences that come through. You know.
Thank you. You're kind.
So tell me about your tour. Who's on your who's in your touring band?
Well, we've got the luxurious six-piece band this time. It's quite a large group of people to go around with, but it feels complete. So I've got Sugiyama, who is actually the musical director and the drummer. He's a producer of sort of my music, my album, etc. now. So he's calling shots. And then we've got Ben Reed, who's been playing the bass for me for probably now 13, 14 years. He's amazing sort of bassist in the mold of he's like British James on karaoke or something. Quite busy, but
melodic. I thought.
Melodic and busy, and solid in terms of groove. Everything I want in a bass player. So, and he plays an old Gibson bass.
Oh yeah, the SG.
Yeah, the EB3. And then he's been, Muna's been asking him to play a Fender Precision as well, and sort of Jameson funk machine type thing. So, it's best of both worlds, really. But then I've got Monica George, who's a tremendous singer. She was one of the lead singers at London Community Gospel Choir, and she's worked with some tremendously high caliber people. Like I understand, she doesn't want to talk about it. She's so modest, but I think she sang for Madonna. She sang for Nile Rodgers and Pharrell Williams, etc., etc. So she's amazing. Yeah. I always actually veered towards soul music in terms of vocals, and she's got that quality. My preference is really, my favorite singers are people like Ann Peebles, sort of southern soul really, and Aretha obviously, and even people like I love Motown singers. So it's got that sort of vibe. And then we've got the wonderful, amazing Stuart Dixon on the guitar, playing the rhythm for me. This is a funny choice because he's a great lead player, and people want him to play the lead. And it's not my big ego that's actually stopping him from playing the lead. But the purpose of the band is really to play the songs as they are best presented, and which calls for rhythm guitar playing. And,
well, when I saw you, just to interject, when I saw you, I could tell Stuart was doing what we all do as guitarists. I always strive to play the song and try and do justice to the song, and whether that means playing one note or a fair few notes, the most important job really is you play for the song, and Stuart did that fantastically well and really added to the music, so I thought he did a great job as a rhythm guitarist. Even if I could tell that he was just dying to play a solo, but I did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I mean he's a producer, you see, and he also plays the bass, and playing the bass is really always a telltale sign, because you've got to be a pretty good, all-round musician, to be able to play the bass well. Because the bass is the fundamentals of the music. It's got the rhythm, it's got the groove, and it's got the melody, and it's got the, essentially harmonies, everything.
It's the glue. It's the glue, isn't it, that holds the music together.
Yeah, exactly. And as soon as I found out, I heard Stuart play, and then I found out what he did. I'll ask him because he is a rare commodity on the blues circuit, in a blues club circuit. Somebody who's actually a whole guitarist and a team player, and that was great to work with him. And then I've got Sam Grimley, who's actually the keyboard player who recently joined us for the first time on this tour. But he's his last tour with Sir Tom Jones, and he's got tremendous pedigree and a great sort of gospel jazz type background as well as blues soul, and he just shows up, and he's also singing a harmony tours, and with Monica and Sam going on in the background, it's got real vibe for like a gospel type thing, which is tremendous. So I love this band. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to hearing them again in Darlington. We're doing a gig in Darlington at the Forum. I think that's on the 21st of April.
Saturday 21st. Yeah.
Saturday 21st of April. So I look forward
to. Lot of tickets left.
So I look forward to hearing you again.
Great. Yeah.
Can I just go back in time now? If you can remember this far back. To when you first started playing guitar, who encouraged you early on to pick up a guitar?
Well, a good question. I was always sort of interested in, not interested. I was just drawn to the music. But then when I actually picked up the guitar, it's such a long time ago. But I mean, there was actually a group called Garo in Japan in around 1971, and they played acoustic guitar. They're one of the first people actually to be on the telly with real hippies, real rock musicians, who were actually not playing the rock music on that. I mean, they're playing acoustic guitar. They're pretty much in the mold of sort of harmony, heavy, CSNY influenced type people, and I was just somehow got drawn by the sort of the way they played acoustic guitars, which was not the run of the mill way of playing in those days. I mean, today people are much more advanced. They learn about open chords and different sort of shapes up the neck. But back in those days, pretty much a lot of people playing acoustic guitar were just folk players playing right down at the bottom of the neck, playing sort of simple chords, and that really kind of that sound got me, and that led to CSNY, etc. So, and I actually later made friends with one of the guys who played the guitar in the group, and he became my mentor, and he's the one who taught me about vintage guitars and vintage amps and the sound and everything. So yeah, that's a major influence back in Tokyo.
Was that? Did you say your guitar tutor there?
No, I didn't have a tutor. I never ever had a formal lesson. No, he was basically, he showed me a few things.
A mentor.
Mentor.
Right.
Was a tutor. Yeah. He would actually show me a little bit, but he said, you can go and work out the rest.
Well, I think it's important. I think mentors and tutors. I think it's an important thing to have encouragement like that. From someone who already knows how to play a little bit. I know that I've had lots of mentors / tutors. Who have really encouraged me and encouraged me to find my own style and not just in sort of tuition, but doing the things that you said, like showing you a little bit and encouraging you to find the rest yourself. Even people who have directed me to certain albums. There's a track that I'm going to be playing a bit later on my show that is directly influenced by one of my guitar teachers who gave me this album and said, work everything out on this album. Definitely really important to have people like that.
I mean, the person doesn't need to be, a tutor that's face to face with you or sort of have formal lessons. But I think, you know, we all have, as musicians, one way or other, every single musician, I think, have somebody that they lean towards, as it were. You know, and I mean, that might be, you know, somebody that kind of you use as a benchmark, touchstone, as you actually, you know, move in your musical career, etc., etc. And yeah, I think that's kind of, you know, something that's a must. I mean, you can't just exist in void and, you know, create new music, come up with new scale or something. You know, God knows. Yeah.
And is it Mune?
Yes.
So did you encourage Mune to play the drums, or is it something that he?
No. No, not at all.
Was he just wanted to make a bit of a noise?
Yeah.
When he was
young.
I
mean, yeah. You know, when he was sort of you know, quite young, he used a drum kit in a music shop. We lived in Kew at the time. That's actually in Surrey, and you know, I think there is a music shop just by the station. In the shop window was this kid's drum kit, and that's what he wanted. And you know, but I must tell you, when we actually got the drum kit and set it up, and then you know, he started playing it, and he got this sound out of the kick drum, because I was showing him how to do it, and he got this kind of, you know, real sound, and I tried to do it myself. I couldn't get it out of that kick drum, and you know, it's just, how does he do that?
A bit of natural talent there.
You know, I mean, you know, looking back, probably it was there. I mean, I didn't think much of it at the time, but you know, yeah.
Oh, that's great. So we'll just wind up what we're doing now. Could you tell us about the future then? What are your future plans for the Saichi Suguyama band?
Well, we've got to finish the album first, and that's been going on for some years now.
Oh, that sounds very familiar. That's like my situation as well. It's an ongoing project for finishing the album.
Yes. No, I mean, you know, we've kind of we've had so many false starts, and we had tours lined up to promote it. But the thing is, you know, the beauty about today's music scene is that yes, it's dreadful that we don't have labels like they used to, you know, who they actually sponsor a musician and allow you to experiment, develop, grow. We don't have that backing. But the other side of the coin is, with the modern technology, which killed the industry, you can actually go and make an album to high standard if you have the right materials, the right musicians, you know, without having to actually watch the time. You know, even the Beatles have to watch their time at Abbey Road Studios because it was so expensive, we were told. And, you know, it's a very expensive business, and it still is, but we have more freedom to do our own thing. And not being talented enough or exciting enough not to be signed with a major label, we have the freedom to take as long as we want and to get it right. You know, we've got to finish it, but you know, we've got that freedom to pursue whatever we think is the right way. So we are making most of it. And Pro Tools is a killer. I mean, you know, Joe Walsh said if the Eagles had the Pro Tools back in the 1970s, they'd still be working on Hotel California to this day. And I mean, you know, it could be really a dangerous step. But, you know, yeah, the album will come out, and it will have 12, 13 tracks. And, you know, what we've done was we own this tour, and Moon is recording every single gig on multitrack. And he's using that to actually for production. So, you know, we are slated to go back into studio next month and basically wrap down the live set, do it the old-fashioned way. Because we've recorded all these songs already, but, you know, they don't sound like a band playing in a room. And that's what we're trying to capture now.
Well, it's an honest sound. I think people appreciate honesty in music. And I think with a lot of Pro Tools, the temptation is to apply lots of effects and things like that. But I think my favourite My favourite sounds are like more of the honest sounds. I love the sound of bands like AC/DC on vinyl. I've got a few of their records, and that is just band in the room, guitar amps turned up, and it sounds amazing. Honest.
Or with the the Beatles. I mean, with all their sort of mistakes and iffy bits as well. But I mean, it's a sound in the room, and that's the ultimate. I mean, the thing about Pro Tools is that it doesn't encourage the musicianship in the sense that you could always fix it.
Yeah, that's it.
You could always
fix it
always fly in from different take. Have 30 passes on the guitar solo. Or just nudge the bass slightly this way, that way. That's all fine, and you just you can make a perfect album. But the older style is that you've got to have the musicianship to be able to get in and play right, because you only had limited amount of space on the tape. I mean, a tape only runs 25 minutes or whatever, at the high hips, and you've got to deliver the goods, and you've been gigging, so you could do that. The Beatles have been playing in Hamburg and all these places night and day.
Well, so they knew what they were playing before they got there.
Exactly. That's why they could record so quickly. And then when they got the experimental, later in their days, they still had that chops. But that's the sort of thing. I like your expression, honest record. That's what we're trying to make. Band of 6 guys playing on a tour, then going back into the studio and play. That's the idea.
Winter's ice is melting away in the sun. Time to rise, waited for this day of the summer.